Okay, I clicked on. We're live. Hi, Caroline. Welcome to Venture with Grace.
Hi, Grace.
Awesome. Okay, so to start the show, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor. So this episode is brought to you by LG Nova. Get ready to ignite your passion for for innovation at the fourth annual InnoFest, happening at the iconic Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco on September 25th and 26th. This two-day event brought to you by LG Nova is your chance to dive into the future with industry leaders and cutting-edge startups and shaping health tech, AI, clean tech, life science, smart life, mobility, and more. And here's something extra special. I'll be hosting a panel at InnoFest guiding a dynamic discussion on the future of AI and workforce. Join me along with other thought leaders as we explore the trends and technologies driving innovation and positive change. Don't miss out on this unique opportunity to be part of the conversation and help create a brighter, more innovative tomorrow. Register today at innofest.lgnova.com and be part of the movement at LG Nova InnoFest 2024. Okay, so I want to say, first of all, like, you are such an iconic woman. You have helped build like one of the most iconic accelerators. And to start the show, I would love for the audience to learn more about you. So you play violin and you're like a professional violinist. Why don't we start with like your violin journey to like, getting into like Berkeley SkyDeck and yeah, I will let you take
Sure.
the floor.
Sure. Yeah. What I like to say to everybody, but especially founders who are like, should I be an entrepreneur? I don't know about this. I don't have the right training. Let me disabuse you of that. So my undergraduate degree was in violin performance from a conservatory. I was a professional violinist for several years. And then I got very lucky and very blessed. Berkeley took a chance on me and let me into their MBA program. I've told this story before, but it really does to show the power of thinking outside the box, which is what Berkeley does. So when I got into Berkeley's MBA program, I asked the admissions director, I said, I'm thrilled you let me in, but why did you? And she said, my daughter's a violinist. And if you did that brutal conservatory program, learned to play the violin, got yourself to those rehearsals and gave up all your weekends, I figured you could hack the MBA program. So they took a chance on me, and looking at my non-traditional background, I have carried that with me. When I look at a founder and they didn't go to business school or get a computer science degree, maybe they did something different, that background can show dedication, discipline, and passion, which of course are all important to being a founder. So after my MBA, I'd like to say, what did I do before I got to SkyDeck? My joke is I was a serial entrepreneur. But two of them didn't die. They grew up and got acquired. One of them's not on my LinkedIn because I was really just on the founding team. Wasn't there with the growth. A company called Board Vantage, acquired by NASDAQ. But the one I was start to finish, cradle to its acquisition, a company called Neurofocus that used medical grade EEG, little cap on your head with electrode, to understand consumer behavior. And we had wild growth. We went from 0 to 25 million in 5 years. So it was a wild and crazy ride. And they got acquired. And then I was looking around for cool things to do. I did some angel investing, some advising, and Berkeley gave me another chance. They said, hey, why don't you come run SkyDeck? And I was like, I've never run an accelerator. And they're like, give it a go. We think you can do it. The same way the MBA admissions said, we see in you someone who could do this. Berkeley said, we see in you someone who could do this program. And so that's how I got here. And it's been an amazing, amazing experience.
That's awesome. So like I really like what you said about like, taking the not so traditional kind of path, not like discredit, but like kind of give it a second look to like see through the noise to like figure out like what's like the core strengths of like the candidate. It's like really important in the startup world and like in like now like now you're running the accelerator now as like an investor. So I wonder like when you first started like Berkeley SkyDeck, you brought up this like a lot of times to like the audience that like from like other podcasts that your whole family went to Berkeley and I wonder, so like, and I feel like the basically like how it designed separates like Berkeley SkyDeck or like the like SkyDeck program in general from other accelerators, like it's very, very plugged into the Berkeley ecosystem compared to many like other accelerators. So I wonder, first of all, like when they first hired you back in 2014, like what exactly were like the first month kind of look like for you to like build that network with the Berkeley, I guess, like board of trustees. I don't really know like how to build a salary at school. So like please educate us here to like give it a little bit of like the sneak peek of like what does a behind the scene look like, who do you have to convince, like how did you kind of like put together the first like cohort of the accelerator?
Yeah. So the first thing to know about Berkeley SkyDeck is that there's nothing else like Berkeley SkyDeck anywhere in the world. And that is, we're an accelerator. We have a fund. We have demo days. The company's very great with that mindset. But we are a program of the University of California, Berkeley. We're not a partner. We're not an affiliate. We are part of the campus, like the Department of Engineering, like the business school. So that is our key to success. And I'll tell you why. What is the thing that every VC would just absolutely kill to have? A network of expert and highly engaged and motivated advisors to help the companies, right? I mean, that's the thing, right? Over 500,000 Berkeley alumni around the world, 45,000 students on campus, which is right there. I just walked from campus. Faculty, right? You want the world's expert in whatever industry, they're on campus, right? Just the stone's throw away. So we have that thing, that extraordinary superpower, which is an already engaged and excited network. And to build a SkyDeck program, because when I came, SkyDeck was very quiet. It was just a quiet little incubator, a couple of companies hanging around. They hired me to really turn it into something. So we started accelerator batches with batch 1, in 2015. We had 55 applications for batch 1. Pretty exciting. We're just closing out the application review for batch 19, 2,300 applications. So that number shows just the incredible growth of the program. And I would say that, we had this incredible network, all these people, but to engage a network, it's hand by hand work, right? It's not something where you send out a newsletter and everybody's like, oh, great. I mean, you gotta build the network within the network, which we did. And so we started getting advisors. More startups started applying. People were like, oh, I can come and help this Berkeley program. It's not a private company. It's actually a Berkeley program. And that's great. I love Berkeley. And here's what we did to set that network, absolutely ignite it. And that was when we launched the Berkeley SkyDeck Fund. So the history of this is that when I got here and I said, let's do an accelerator, the campus said, great. I said, okay, we need a fund. How do you accelerate companies without money? You can't. So you need a fund. And the campus said, we're a public university. We can't do private venture capital. I said, okay, all right, I'll come up with a solution, problem-solving entrepreneur that I am. So I found someone to run the Berkeley SkyDeck Fund, who you had live a few weeks ago. Amazing Chong Tang, one of the most talented, brilliant people I know. And I said, John, I want you to start a fund and invest in all the companies in our accelerator program at SkyDeck. And I want you to donate half the fund carry, which, as most of your listeners know, is the fund profits. I want you to donate half of your fund profits back to Berkeley. And he said, oh, that sounds fun. That sounds like a fun little project. And we're like, yeah, 10 million, some alums, go Bears, right? That fund exploded, closed, not at 10, but 23 million. All of a sudden, Sean has to hire people. And then we go to fund 2, and that's 60 million. And he has to hire more people. And it's turned into something really impactful. And here's our moonshot. SkyDeck has a moonshot, right? We tell our company, bring us your moonshots. Our moonshot is to make Chan Tang the single largest donor to UC Berkeley via a gigantic exit by some companies that the fund invests in, and thereby supporting our university, our public university, and funding education, which is a very meaningful, personally meaningful to me as a Berkeley one, but meaningful to everybody. Like, support education, right? That's universally a really wonderful thing to do and something you can feel good about. So that ignited the network, set it on fire. And now we have, instead of me going and asking people one by one, please be a SkyDeck advisor, which I did, almost 10 years ago. Now that the applications come in via our website, and it's very competitive to be a SkyDeck advisor. So that was, sort of the start and where we are today.
For sure. I feel like you're such a amazing speaker that like I almost cried, although I didn't even go to Berkeley. But I wonder, like, when it comes to like, as you mentioned, like, you you built this up from like the ground up, like when it was like a quiet accelerator. Now it's like one of the most like powerful accelerator in the world. So I want to kind of dive into like, I guess like when the school hired you, like what resources were you provided, and then like what did you have to like go after yourself?
Yeah. So when I joined, the program was fully funded by the campus, but they said, the goal is, of course, that we would become self-funded. And the reason is simple. SkyDeck is a university program. We don't teach and we don't do research. So, we don't get tuition money. We don't get, we have to raise our own money like any good center, of which we have many on campus. And you know what? I'm actually really happy that we couldn't do a fund and I needed to get SkyDeck funded. I'm really happy for those constraints, because from constraints sometimes lead to strength, to hustle, to grit, and to opportunity. So we had to set up the fund, and I'm really glad we set it up this way. It turned out to be a beautiful partnership between private venture capital and public university. Great. I'm glad the university said, hey, we can't keep funding SkyDeck, because we had to get a story together about, why someone should partner with us. We started with corporations. Why are we interesting? Why are our companies good? We had to make sure we get good companies. We had to promote our vision, right? And that was all very good. I'm glad that the university wasn't sending us checks. We probably would have been lazy, like, yeah, that's great. Here comes the money. I don't have to do anything. So that turned into now what is our very active partnership program, where the main part of our partnerships are organizations around the world, like JETRO, which is a Japanese government organization for trade and entrepreneurship. They sponsor companies to come to SkyDeck for a special program, and they sponsor them. So they pay us a fee. And what does that mean? That means we can fund our program and be in this beautiful space, which you can't see because I'm in a tiny little phone here, but we have an incredible view, right? It's just it's an amazing space with a 360-degree view of the Bay Area. The startups sit next to the view of the Golden Gate Bridge, like unobstructed. It's pretty cool. So, so we do all that, and then all these people in Japan go, "Oh, SkyDeck. Oh, that's cool. Let's find out about SkyDeck." So then Japanese companies apply, and we get some pretty interesting talent. We have one pitching at our demo day on October 1st. I won't give it away. You'll have to see, but it is a very interesting company. So it's all good. From that constraint came many good things.
Totally. How do you know like what to start? Because I feel like building a successful accelerator, obviously you have to like, yes, you have to have a fund dedicated to it to invest. And then there's like also the mentors in school. I guess like how do you go like, first of all, like as a CEO of anything, like you supposed to figure out like a revenue model for the organization. So like so how do you figure out like the KPI for yourself from like the revenue side of things? Also like there's like the program itself, right? Like so you have to build like a curriculum to like partner with the professors or like the courses or like the labs. Like, how do you kind of like created the program from scratch?
Yeah, which we did. There was no program when I got here. So we rely for our programming on our advisors. They give the workshops. We have somewhere between 50 and 60 workshops per batch. And our batches are a little bit longer than the average accelerator. They're almost 6 months, which we love because we can really get to know the companies. These workshops are, with very few exceptions, not given by faculty. They're given by people who've been out in the world doing startups or advising startups, right? Because the academics on campus, that's not what they do. They do research. They do amazing things. We do have occasionally people coming from the Haas School of Business, but most of them are like, for example, the former head of product at Box, or someone who has been an angel investor for 20 years, or someone who built software at Meta, or someone who built some robots somewhere. These are the people who are giving these workshops, and it's really practical, hands-on coaching. It's not like, here's the general theory of go-to-market. No, it's like, here's how you go to market, here's a CRM you use, here's how you talk to your customers, all of that sort of thing.
For sure. I like what you said about like you kind of like incorporate people from like the real world instead of just like leaning towards like the academic or like just people that are like naturally on campus.
Yeah.
I feel like for anyone to like be a part of the to give a course or like give a workshop, I feel like it's always a hustle to like get people in. I wonder, how do you kind of like align with their interests as well to like make it equally beneficial to the people who are volunteering? Do they have to be Berkeley alums, or like is there like a general criteria for the people to come in?
Yeah. No, they don't have to be Berkeley alums. Many of them are. But here's, when you're working with a group of volunteers, why are they going to spend their precious time, especially if these are, very competent people who could go do something else interesting? You have to make it a valuable experience for them. So we spend a lot of time thinking about how we can do that for our advisors, because we know their compensation, which is $0, zero equity, has to be a meaningful, impactful experience. So they want to feel like they make a difference with a young company's life. So we do a lot to make sure that relationship is facilitated. We give the startups a lot of coaching. Okay, you have some advisors now. This is how you should meet with them. Here's your Slack channel. Here's some materials you can look at. How are things going? We're talking to you. Let us know. Can't reach your computer. So it's we're a service business, right? What is an accelerator? It's a service business. We don't make a product. It's a service. So it's very much relationships, knowing people, and then making sure that the advisors they feel like my time is making an impact and it's valued, right? So when they make a difference to a company, we tell the company, tell your advisor that they helped. That's really, really important. And then some of them are here looking for deal flow for their own advisory, right? They're like, well, I'm going to meet some cool companies. And sometimes after the program, they end up signing an advisor agreement with the company that they were advising for free during the program. Fantastic. We love it.
I feel like I have like total respect for what you said about like, you want to make the people who are advising to feel like they are making a huge impact in these like younger companies' life. Speaking of these younger companies, like I know that like for each company there's supposed to be like a Berkeley affiliate person, or maybe like if you have absolutely no connection, you suggest them to like immediately make a connection in like the Berkeley universe. Like I wonder, when it comes to like since like right now it's like a really big program compared to when you first started, you mentioned 55 company applied. I wonder how does like the growth kind of look like for you, since like it's been almost 10 years, I believe. Yeah, like 9 year and 11 months. That's crazy. So almost 10 years, like for your journey as like the founding partner of this program, like what is your like, I guess like the first 3 year or like middle 3 year or like last like in the past like couple years kind of look like for you as like the leader in this organization?
So in terms of size, I think we've reached a really great size, in other words, number of companies in the program.
Mhm.
So we have different programs between all these different programs. It's maybe 120 companies every 6 months. The accelerator track that receives the funding is about 20. Then we have a very large incubator program we call PAD 13. That could be 50, 60, 70 companies, right? Then we have the sponsored program I talked about earlier. And, you can only fit so many live-born bodies on our floor here at SkyDeck. But it's, we could take more, but we really like, if there's 20 companies in the accelerator track, we all get to know them really well, right? Like that, right? So we're holding at this number for now. And so, but we're all ambitious, we all want to do more, right? That's just the culture here. I'm an entrepreneur. Most of my staff, they're entrepreneurs, but they also, even if they're not an entrepreneur, they've got that, what can we do better? So we want to make the program better and better and better. We want to, aim for that, our moonshot of finding that amazing company, helping them grow. Voila, Chan Tang is the world's biggest donor to any university ever. Let's expand that. Let's expand that. Yeah, not just to Berkeley, any university ever. Okay, I just made up a new moonshot for SkyDeck. Thank you. And so we're always thinking about how can we do this better. And now that we're starting to do some programming around the world and bring SkyDeck around the world, that's an area of growth, right? Where we're not constrained by a headcount here. And then, maybe we'll take over another floor in the building someday. Maybe do some more, we don't know. But the quality of the program is really important to us. So we could scale and lose quality, and we are not going to do that. We're going to keep our quality as high as possible.
Speaking of quality, I really like that you said about like keeping the quality instead of like scale into like a major program that's like have like 1,000 company per year. I wonder when it comes to like having that consistency, like what would be your benchmark to like evaluate each badge? And since like I feel like I observe a lot of the accelerators are like particularly gonna chase a trend, like so-called AI year or like crypto year, like 80% of the company are like in one sector. Like obviously I feel like AI, like everything is AI these days. Like it's kind of like, are you an internet company? So I wonder, like in terms of thinking about the trends and like also the I guess like the theme of the companies, also like maintaining a certain level of consistency in the quality of the startups, like what would be the, call it like a Caroline checklist for these companies to get in?
Yeah. So we're at a very early stage. So, sometimes we're our fund is the first money in. And in terms of how do we evaluate them before they come in, it's an art. We're about to launch our interviews next week. There's not a lot to go on for these really early stage companies. We can look at the idea. If they built something, which usually they've built something, right? There's some kind of prototype before they come to SkyDeck. We rarely take things that are just idea stage, but sometimes we do. So we want to see, what's the idea? What have they built? Standard stuff. Do we think there's a market for it, right? Or if there isn't a market for it, do we think that there will be a market because this is a cool thing and it's a great opportunity? We spent a lot of time looking at the founders. We talked about this earlier. Maybe they didn't go to some big name school, but they excelled in a sport. They did something that required discipline and training, right? Maybe they were in the military, right? Maybe they volunteered and did something, whatever it was. So we look for that, and when we interview them, we're looking a lot for coachability. So we want a company not only that has a great potential, we think it's a great market, the founders can build and move fast and all that good stuff, but that they're going, I want to join this gigantic Berkeley ecosystem and take advantage. This is the place for me. I can really benefit from this. So we're looking for that. And, we ask them directly, why are you applying to SkyDeck? But in there, there's a lot of guesswork at this stage. And I think over the years we've done a lot to kind of try to hone on those qualities we're looking for. We used to do all the interviews in person, which was great, and then the world completely changed. So now we're doing the interviews on Zoom, which gives you less information, but you can still. We found we can still get a lot of information out of that Zoom interview, and then it's easier. People don't have to get on planes and fly here, which is great. So that's the process, like any accelerator. We don't do this, just a handful of us. So with 2,000 applications, as you can imagine, it takes our village. So we have probably about 80 advisors who sign up to be on the selection committee. They help us evaluate the applications when they're submitted online. They're divided by areas of expertise: your enterprise software, your therapeutics, your whatever. And from that, we trim that down to a group of first round interviews, which is maybe 160 companies or so. We give them a quick 20-minute interview on Zoom. From that, we narrow it down again to a final round interview, and that's where they get a longer interview. And then if we're seriously considering them, the SkyDeck Fund will do some serious DD. But it all happens very fast. And all of the process in a space of 6 weeks, which, is why running an accelerator is pretty exciting. Making 20 investments in 6 weeks, whereas, most seed funds of the size that the SkyDeck Fund is will make, 10 investments in a year, right? So we're we move very fast, and we love that.
For sure. I want to, since like you mentioned about like, first of all, I really like that, like you're looking for coachability beyond the tenacious or like something that like requires discipline and training from the founders. So speaking of the founder journey, like let's say like if I'm a founder, I want to apply for SkyDeck. What does the journey kind of look like from the moment I submit like my online application? Like how many people go through the interview, and like by the 80 advisors? So I think I touch on this subject with Sean a little bit in our chat too. So for the 80 advisors, so I just asked like, oh, if I'm an advisor and like my personal opinion, if that's like the whole criteria that like it's maybe different than your personal opinion or like someone else. So like do we have some sort of like I think he mentioned like it's each application you will get multiple people to kind of screen the
Yes.
like the process or the concept. So like I wonder like if I submit my SkyDeck application today, like what is it like what is my application will go through to eventually for me to land into the program? And after I land into the program, like how since you mentioned like 20 investments in 6 weeks, like how do I be the person who is gonna get picked by the fund?
So the process, as I mentioned, an online review, several people review each application. We take all those scores. The fund and the SkyDeck staff look at all the applications. We make a decision which ones go into now the first round funnel. Those are done on Zoom. The advisors join us. The selection committee joins us. So we always have people on each interview. And then from that, they're scored again, right? Everybody on the interview scores. And the SkyDeck Fund and the SkyDeck staff then look at those scores and make a determination. And we're on the interviews as well. Somebody from SkyDeck or the fund is on every interview. And then we narrow that down to the final round. Same process, but it's a longer interview. For that final round interview, we'll make sure we have experts in the room. So I don't know everything about robotics. I don't know everything about life science, right? I don't know everything about crypto. So we'll make sure that we have either our track chairs and in addition, it might be a faculty member or just someone in our network who we know is an expert on whatever topic it is that's being pitched, because we need technical experts as well as business experts. Everybody scores, we discuss, and from that we make a selection for the batch. And then there's always some due diligence. The fund has to talk to them, make sure that they're investable, right? Does the cap table work? Are all those people really full-time? You said we're full-time. Are they coming? All of those things. And if we're on the fence, they'll say, hey, can we talk to some customers? Standard DD stuff. It just goes very fast.
I wonder, so like since like you guys invest at the very early stage and then like about the 80 advisors, like are they primarily like other investors, or would you say it's like a mostly experts in like different domains?
It's a mix. It's a real mix. Over half of our advisors are angel investors.
Mhm.
So a lot of them have some angel experience. And advisors, they really come in all flavors, which is cool. We have people who all they do is advise companies, and they just are really good at it. And they can sort of talk to any company in any industry. Then we have advisors who are really specific for certain parts of the business. We have marketing and branding experts. We have product experts. We have technical experts. If we have a company, a chip company, you've got to have some of our chip advisors on as your advisor, because it's very highly specialized. If it's a therapeutics company or a medical device, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why we have this big network and a large number to draw upon, because since we take all industries, which is great and fun and exciting, but the only way you can do that is if you really have the network to support it. And most accelerators, they specialize in something. It's really hard to really support strongly and meaningfully every industry. But because we're SkyDeck and we have the Berkeley network, we can do that.
For sure. I feel like, so how frequent do I meet with my advisor if I got into the program? And is this like me paired up with like, call it like 2 people in my domain, call it like the chips company or like this chip angel investor, or like, do I get partnered up with like the whole crew?
It's a two-sided matching. So it's not like we say, hey, here's your advisors, have a good time. There's a two-sided matching where advisors and founders meet each other. It's like a speed dating thing. And then they each choose their top 5 choices. And the algorithms known as SkyDeck staff, go through the spreadsheet, and you can do this, 20 companies. And we go, they liked each other. Oh, that was a miss, but we think they work. And so through that process, which is pretty intensive, we have about 7 or 8 of these speed dating things, some in person, some remote. And after that process, the matching is done. And we tell the companies, you should meet with your advisors at least every 2 weeks. And then they sort it out. They have their own schedule. We have a regular monthly advisor call where all the key advisors, those are the ones that are matched, give an update about their companies. And then there's a lot of back and forth, right? Which is really the engine of a service company is humans communicating with each other to see how things are going.
For sure. I feel like it's always like easy when you think about like to like advising people, but it also takes a lot of time and energy. And like I wonder, do you give like a training program for the advisors as well, or like do they just do whatever they do?
Oh yeah. No, there's an onboarding session personally. We meet them. We're not onboarding people who are like, what's advising, what's a startup, what's going on, they kind of have some degree of knowledge. There's a training for the advisors for the selection committee. They go through training. There's also a training for the advisors when they're selected as a key advisor. There's a workshop where this is what it's like to be a key advisor. These are the expectations. There's one then for the founders. So there's a lot of helping them, structure this the relationship so that it works for everybody.
For sure. I'm sure like now, since you're running such a big program, like you have a lot of staff, like from like a company like SkyDeck itself, it's a company, right? Like, what does that kind of growth journey kind of look like for you to grow your own team?
So I don't know if you know how many people work for SkyDeck, UC Berkeley SkyDeck, me and my staff, and we have 200 to 250 companies a year. Guess how many full-time staff we have?
I see. I can only track on LinkedIn. It
Yeah,
was like it was 400 something people list as members. So like, you guys
so
look like
yeah.
an agency here. So, but I don't know.
I'll tell you, actual full-time staff members, 9.
Oh wow.
There's a staff of 9 people. Only 9 of us. This Berkeley SkyDeck Fund, who is, as I mentioned, a separate entity. They don't work for Berkeley, but they obviously do a lot of stuff with us. They have 4. So I would say there's a whopping 13 of us working here at, helping these companies. And by the way, the fund is only focused on the accelerator track, as they should be, that they're invested in. All the incubator track, all the partner companies, that's me and my staff. That's us 9 people. So I would say we are extremely resource efficient. We get a lot done. And of course, we're part of Berkeley. So we can draw on this network, and without question, what's the man hours of all the advisors that they divide? I don't know, thousands of hours of meaningful expert work by the advisors. So we do a lot with only 9 paid staff, but it's these wonderful, absolute just angels who come and are advisors and volunteer their time and come here and put their hearts and their wonderful brains to help our young companies. That's obviously our not at all secret weapon that we have, that because we're Berkeley, because we're UC Berkeley. And by the way, one of these companies could be the next Tesla, Apple, and really, boom, Sean is writing a check to the foundation with a whole lot of zeros on it, right? That's our moonshot.
For sure. One thing I thought were like extremely interesting and impressive is like, there's a lot of like amazing universities in the world, like call it like, the Ivy League schools. Like, I wonder why is like no one able to kind of like pull off like what Berkeley SkyDeck have to create?
No, nobody's like Berkeley. There is no place like Berkeley. There isn't. I will say, having now, I went to school here. My family went to school here. I have a whole, 2 of my children are here as students. But really, I will stake that claim. There is no place like Berkeley. It's an extraordinary place. And where are we? We're in Silicon Valley, right? So if Berkeley were Berkeley, an amazing thing, and not in Silicon Valley, no, we couldn't do what we do. But because we're here, it's the perfect combination of the Berkeley mindset of how do we solve the world's problems? Let's go solve it, right? Let's we don't care what the status quo is, right? We're just going to go figure it out. This is Berkeley DNA, right? And it's founder DNA, it's innovator DNA, right? And here we are, surrounded by the world's most potent and robust ecosystem to support that.
For sure. I feel like having the innovation mindset or like problem solving mindset is really important. And I feel like, since I think when I was like listening to your past interview with like another podcast, and then the person mentioned about like Stanford Start Hacks or like some other equivalent program, they're also in like Silicon Valley. But I wonder, how do you feel like what are something like unique about Berkeley that like people are more willing to help, or like is this more towards like people's mindset are like, we're not really chasing for like a certain things that you personally can achieve, but it's like as a crew, like or as a group of people, it's like easier to do? Or like what do you think would be like the thing that's like
Mhm.
you feel like it's special about Berkeley to really like having a robust ecosystem out, and then also able to like having a SkyDeck happening
Yeah,
to like keep reproducing the like innovative companies?
right. So for stuff to happen, right, you need three things. You need talented people
Mm,
who are motivated and who have resources, right? And that has to be within a mindset of let's go,
mhm,
let's do it, let's fix it. The world is waiting, right? We don't
mhm,
need permission to go solve the world's problems. We're going to go solve them, right? So Berkeley has all of those. We have that mindset, that DNA. You know, it's back in the 60s, everybody was rioting because the status quo was wrong,
mhm,
right? And Berkeley very vocally,
mhm,
made that clear. Um, and the whole campus is built on a let's solve the world's problems, let's create things that benefit society, and
mhm,
let's do it in a way that really is meaningful for our world and gives us a sense of purpose. So before I came to SkyDeck, I've been in private startups and
mhm,
my family business, my whole career.
mhm,
And if you had told me, Caroline, 10 years you're going to be working as a staff member of a public university and you will love it, I would have said, you're out of your mind. That's not me. And here I am. And I can tell you that being part of a public university, especially a university like Berkeley, right, for whom the DNA is, can we change the world and make it better,
mhm,
right? Not just let's go do cool things, right? Nice things, but can we change the world to make it better? And that's very much a Berkeley, that's the Berkeley value, right?
mhm,
I mean, there's a lot of great universities in the world,
mhm,
without question, who do amazing research and have great startups coming out of them. But what's the one that really, if you peel everything back, there's a core that says, we're here to change the world. We're thinking about the world's biggest problems. We're thinking about climate change. We're thinking about quantum computing. We're thinking about how do we build batteries that can last for 50 hours instead of 5? How do
mhm,
we really put together solutions in a way that's really going to impact the problems that our children and our children's children will inherit from us? And there's no other university like that. Not
mhm,
not not like Berkeley, right? Not
mhm,
like Berkeley is. And being part of that while being with startups and founders and, VCs and all that, I mean, it's a dream come true.
mhm. I really like what you said about like, think about the word changing program, like problems, and then like
Mhm,
also finding solutions for it.
mhm,
When it comes to like the most recent like word changing technologies, like what are some trends that you feel like the newest batch of SkyDeck
mhm.
companies that you feel like are doing something like that you find very interesting? And I'm sure there's a lot of investors that are listening. They're definitely interested in your thoughts on like, what are some trends that like investors should pay attention of?
Yeah. So our demo day, any investors listening, please go check out our website, check out our
Mhm,
LinkedIn. You can apply to attend our October 1 demo day for our Berkeley program. It will be on campus.
mhm,
It'll also be streamed online the next day. So join us for that. It is an invitation only event. We'll have lots of very cool companies, lots of them building on LLMs,
mhm,
right? Lots of them building agents to make us
mhm,
humans better, smarter, faster. And we
mhm,
can have a whole discussion about AI and all of that, which of course a lot of people at Berkeley have a lot to say about, and we really need to think deeply about. But that's for another podcast.
mhm,
We have some really, really amazing people building some really cool things. We have some very interesting climate tech companies. So you'll see a
mhm.
company making fibers from agricultural waste.
Oh wow.
It's not just in a petri dish. They're actually
Mhm.
ready to set up their facility to start producing.
Mhm.
We have another company in the energy space that's growing really fast, helping people with all, there's a million incentives out there, right? For all sorts of your water heater and your air conditioning and all this stuff, and it's a giant mess. This company is helping make that mess not
Mhm.
messy. And then we have a very interesting vertical farming company. I think it would be very cool. So we always have a mix of technologies. We have a company that's got a really interesting solutions for robots, right? We're supposed to all have robots right now, right? I'm supposed to have
Mhm.
about making my coffee. Hasn't happened. Why? Well, there's some issues to solve. So it's always a real interesting mix of companies, deep tech, hard tech, life science. We don't have life science presenting this batch, but they're at SkyDeck. They'll be around. We had a whole bunch of our last batch, so that's always an important part of what we do. So some very cool stuff.
I'm very excited. I feel like you touch upon some of literally like the most popular topic on our podcast as well, like the LLMs, agents, climate tech related things. And I wonder, since like there's some investors that are listening, beyond these like some really interesting companies, is there any general trends on like where people are shifting towards? So for example, like I'm seeing a lot of investors started like looking at the climate tech space. That's like one trend that I observed this year. It's like very, very big. Is there anything that you find like in this whole batch of company? Is there like something that generally people shifting towards building since last year? You mentioned last year a lot of people building blood science or like life science companies.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say things that I think most people will agree with.
Mhm.
Lots of companies building on LLMs for
Mhm.
sure. I like the way someone said it. I forget who. Service as a software,
Mm.
right? As it's still early days for agents, but what we're looking for, and I think most investors are looking for, we're not looking for hammers, looking for nails. We're looking for a solution where the founder really understands the problem from the customer's perspective and is building to solve that problem. I think it'll be pretty darn interesting how
Mhm.
we as a society handle AI. I personally think there's massive benefits that can happen, and there's massive harms that can happen. Berkeley is a place where people are thinking about that a lot. I think we'll be on the forefront of that, and I'm hoping, slight tangent. I'm hoping that our agencies and governments really think through how to regulate it, because it really does need to be regulated. But for venture,
Mhm.
a lot of the same things are true. So we don't at SkyDeck. We're not interested in fun trends. We're interested we're not interested in fads, I would say.
Mhm.
We're interested in trends, but we're not interested in fads. So we follow the really good startups, and we try to stay away from things that look flashy, from things that maybe we think are just a little blip,
Mhm.
things that really have solid, real business legs as a potential startup.
Mhm.
And we're early stage investors, so we're making guesses. We don't always get it right, but we think a lot about how is this company going to make a meaningful impact on the customer in terms of solving a real problem or giving them an opportunity. And a lot of times the opportunity, and this is where AI can be a great benefit, is freeing them from
Mhm.
drudgery,
Mhm.
so that they can concentrate on more interesting, creative things that only humans can do. And that's, of course, the beautiful world that we're all hoping
Mhm.
for, with agents as they mature.
Mm. I want to quickly. Oh, I really like what you said about like not interested in like fads, but like you guys are interested in trends, and then you want to build like you want to invest in the companies that are like more having concrete value to the world than like just like I don't know, like, I mean, I'm just like building something like, I don't know, like creating, um, just like
Mhm.
not like a big impact in society.
Yeah.
So, by the way, hi Greg. I want to like quick Craig. Sorry, like I want to like say hi to the audience. I want to touch up on like, since um I'm sure like a lot of people listening are like everyone knows about SkyDeck, but like I want to give you a little bit highlight. So like you are highlighted by like Forbes 50 over 50, and like you're personally like so SkyDeck have been like highlighted as like the top startup accelerator among different universities. And what is your day-to-day like
Mhm.
as the leader at SkyDeck? Do you Yeah, like I feel like people are probably really fascinated by your journey as like a human being beyond like your current title.
Mhm. So a lot of what I do is influenced by the stage of the program,
Mhm.
right? So when the founders first join, the first 6 weeks is super intense, getting them oriented, getting them set up, getting to know them, making sure they're getting to know each other, they have what they need, deploying resources for them, plugging them into this amazing
Mhm.
network and all the resources and partners that we have. So that's the first 6 weeks. Um,
Mhm.
and then the middle of the program it's a little quieter. There's still programming going, but since the
Mhm.
pandemic, the middle of the program, we operate some of it remotely. So you can be at
Mhm.
SkyDeck if you want to work out of the great space, great. But some of the
Mhm.
founders go home and work remotely. We're kind of narrowing that remote period. We're trying to shrink it back down because we love in person. It's
Mhm.
just it makes all the difference, right? As we all sort of instinctively know. Um, and then towards the end of the program, which is now demo days in a few weeks. So now my days are a lot of pitch practice. I personally manage a lot of the demo day prep for the founders, help them get that short pitch ready so that it's really interesting, it's clear, it's engaging. We're known for SkyDeck for having very high
Mhm.
quality demo day pitches. We do it in person on a big stage here on campus. It's a great experience for the founders to get up in front of a big audience and really do their absolute best. And they're preparing this short demo day pitch at the same time that they're meeting lots and lots of investors. So it's a bit of a crazy time.
Mhm.
So my day to day really follows the founder's journey as they go through the program, um, and then I travel to meet our partners from
Mhm.
time to time. The nice thing about Berkeley is the world tends to come to Berkeley,
Mhm.
but we do go out and meet our partners in Europe or Japan or Taiwan, and then I'm also running over to campus, of course, pretty regularly to talk to people on campus, meet with people. Just before our meeting, I was a nice, brisk walk through our beautiful campus to get here. Um, and then it's a lot of, like I said, service business, right? So running an accelerator it's really hard work. It's
Mm.
not an easy job. It's a lot of how are the people doing? Do they have what they need? Right? Can they come and ask me? Right? It's not like I press a button and here's all the documents.
Mhm.
Go read them and have a good time. Um, it's sort of it's it, we don't. I say we're a Berkeley program that doesn't teach, but in a way we do teach. I think I'd call ourselves more of a coach, um, but we're with them, and we want them to learn, and we want them to suck up every ounce of every experience that we have, so that they benefit from that, and that only happens when you're here, you're talking to people, and you're with them.
For sure. Wow. I feel like your day is just like packed with work activities. I wonder, like, for the audience who maybe investors like wants to participate into like the demo day,
Mhm.
how do they apply?
Yeah, so please go to our website, skydeck.berkeley.edu, and you'll see somewhere there's a button,
Mhm.
apply to attend demo day, and we will look at that very quickly, and get back to you. Like I said, it's for investors, but definitely please come apply. We still have space for demo day. And we definitely want to show off our companies to as many investors as possible.
Amazing. Okay, so we're at the last 1 minute fire round. And so first question, what's your favorite book?
My favorite book right now,
Yes.
because that varies. So I'm a huge fan of the historian Yuval Noah Harari.
Mm.
He is, I think, one of the greatest thinkers of our time. And I'm a big picture person. I love to go up to 35,000 feet and synthesize things, and he does that. So the book that popped into my mind when you said that is his book Sapiens.
Mm.
A brief
It's a
history of
classic one. Yeah.
humankind. That is definitely one of my favorites. I love that book.
The book is basically like a Bay Area icon now. I feel like that and 0 to 1. I feel like it's
Yes, 0 to 1 is great too. I love that one.
Who made the biggest impact in your career?
Oh, that's such a good question. The first thing that comes to mind is not a who, but a what. UC Berkeley. UC Berkeley made the biggest impact without question. I told you about, Berkeley took a chance on me to, let me into the MBA program, even though I was just a violinist. And then they took a chance on me and said, hey, why don't you run SkyDeck? So
how did they fund you, by the way? I'm sorry, this is such a random question, but
no, that's okay. So I was a Haas alum, got my MBA at Haas, and I ran into the dean of Haas at the time, Rich Lyons, who was on the board of SkyDeck. And I started chatting with him, and I was saying, oh, Rich, I you have SkyDeck. I've heard about SkyDeck, and I was kind of thinking about doing. I thought it'd be cool to set up an accelerator, even though I'd never done it. And I said, are you interested in maybe doing another SkyDeck somewhere? Little did I know, they were looking for a new director. So they ended up inviting me in for an interview. And voila, that's how I got the position. And Rich, as you probably know, Rich Lyons is now the head of the whole Berkeley campus, is our chancellor, which is the head of the university. And so before that, he was the dean of the Haas School, not when I got in, but so in a way, Rich Lyons, Rich Lyons has had a massive impact on me. And now as chancellor, he's going to be amazing. I mean, we ain't seen nothing yet for Berkeley, but Rich is a true visionary, and he just settled into his office here on campus, and so he's had without question a huge impact on me.
What's one skill that you're constantly trying to get better at?
The Bach chaconne.
Wait, what?
The Bach chaconne. Man, that's my life's work to play that difficult piece of the violin. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay. But business-wise, that's a good question. So, I mean, all of them. So if you're going to be a leader, I would say, let me distill it down to, what's the most important job of a leader. I would distill down into, you have to give people a sense of purpose, a sense of, I'm doing something meaningful for an organization I care about, and I'm given the resources and support to do that. And I get to do things that are personally meaningful for me, so I can develop and contribute to not only my own personal growth, but the organization. So that category, I would, distill it down to making sure that my staff is enthusiastic, finds this exciting and meaningful, and has the resources to support. So that's kind of the most important leader skill that I think every leader needs to have, whether it's a startup or a not-for-profit or an educational institution like we are, or your neighborhood association, whatever it is, that's what you need to have.
I think that's actually really hard to do. Like, it's hard to like find out like everybody's motivation, but like I feel like you have no problem doing it. You're like doing such a great job on like defining purpose, as well as like just like finding the resources to like support the program.
Mhm.
Okay. I want to keep it quick. I know you have basically a hard stop. So who would you invite to your dinner party?
Oh, besides Yuval, who I just mentioned, Noah Harari, I'd invite Rich Lyons always. He's fantastic. He's amazing. And, someone I'd invite every female founder
Oh
who
wow,
has
that's a lot of people.
yeah, who's been listed. I would invite every female founder who's on IPO, and I would get them all in a room. I would say, okay, girls, let's chat.
Hmm.
It'd be a big dinner party.
I'm sure. I feel like that's a lot of people, and I feel like that sounds like a really exciting dinner. Where can we find you outside of work?
So I'm on LinkedIn. You can definitely find me there. I'm also on Twitter/X, Caroline Winnett, but mostly LinkedIn and those two is where I am. And then just search me. There's not a lot of Caroline Winnetts, and you can find my various videos, etc.
Amazing, Caroline. Thank you so much for coming on the show. You're such an inspiration and such a great conversation. Thank you.
Thanks, Grace. This has been great.
Let me quickly